We're going to be doing tonight's devotional time a little different. I hope that it's edifying to you. I hope that it's beneficial. I hope that you can learn and have a better understanding of the old city of Jerusalem, the southern steps and the southern wall, and the temple western wall. And as I go through these slides, I will do them as quickly as I can. I've got like 175. No, not really. I will go over the time allotted to me, but hopefully not as bad as Aaron did last week. So I think we'll be okay. But I'm going to step down front so I can see my notes I have on the slide and read them easier than trying to look at the back projector. So here you see Old Jerusalem with New Jerusalem in the background. We're not concerned about that. Whoops, back up, hit the wrong button. You see the Dome of the Rock, which sits on the Temple Mount. That is an Islamic shrine, and it's the focal point of the Temple Mount now. The Temple Mount is surrounded by this wall, which is much larger than the original temple, but this is the one that Herod built, and he expanded the temple many times over its original size. And let me say this before I go any further. I am in no way implying that Old Jerusalem that I'm showing you pictures of is the one that Jesus walked in. He walked in the area, he walked in the street, but Jerusalem is an ancient city that has been conquered and rebuilt and conquered and rebuilt. Buildings have been changed and changed and changed, but the essence of the central location of where it was and where it is the same. And the same is true for the temple. Herod's temple was destroyed in AD 70, and since then it was rebuilt. And it even still is undergoing archaeological digs where they are recuperating. I can't show you the Pool of Siloam and things like that because it's undergoing an archaeological restoration. So that being said, understand what we're looking at. Jerusalem is a city within walls. That gate up the street goes into that. That's the Lion's Gate, and I think it goes into the Muslim quarter. But I don't think that's our group walking up the hill there. And Jerusalem is a city on hills. It's always uphill everywhere you're going. That's what I found to be true. Here we are in the city. That is our group in front of us there, this photo. And I took this for the street view, but you see the previous building arch. That is an old building that was that they built over and included part of the arch in the new construction at the time when it was built. It's a typical street. There's another typical street, another arch. And I'm not showing you anywhere near the photos that I have. I have lots of photographs. As with any tourist spot, and Old Jerusalem is a tourist spot, there are items for sale everywhere. As you walk down the street, you can see these. I don't know if you can see the clothes on the right that are hung, but then up there ahead of the group on the right, lower right ahead of the man in the colored shirt, there's more clothing and things hung up there. And as you look down the whole street there's just more and more of things to be bought. Here we are going from a street to a covered area of the street, and more items for sale, and they do sell them, and some of them are expensive. That is our group. You might recognize me in there, I don't know, and Sandy. That is our group. This is the Islamic quarter. I know that because you see the We Print It t-shirts owned by Mohammed. So take a look at all the variety of things for sale. And in this t-shirt store, I have a t-shirt for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I'm not sure what those other things say, but I'm sure someone can look it up and tell us. But they will market to whatever they can market to earn $1. Produce vendors are very common in the city. There, down every other street seems like a variety of things that they're selling that they've grown. There's another lady. I don't know where she grew the grapes. I don't know where she grew the lettuce or the greens. I didn't see anything that was garden worthy when we were traveling there. I took a picture of this lady because I study people when I'm in these places, and she was walking down the street, and I was trying to figure out what she was, if she was Muslim or Jewish or whatever. But the closer I got, and we exchanged looks, but the closer she got and she saw that I was going to take her picture, she did not want her picture taken. She looked away. And only after I looked at this did I see the graffiti in the background, the Star of David. So this is not in the Jewish quarter because they would not tag Star of David in the Jewish quarter. This is to rub somebody the wrong way. Here's a man that I met, and dressed in black with his hat. He is a Jew. Notice his long overcoat, his long pants. It's over 100 degrees that day. It was 100 degrees every day we were there. So he is paying the price of dressing as an Orthodox Jew. Here's another gentleman that I met. He also is a Jew, and you can tell that by the pilots that he's growing off of his sideburns. Again, dressed in a black coat, having to suffer the temperature. Here is an open spice market. It's just bulk, and get a scoop or whatever, and shop for your spices. So I'm not sure how many of us would be comfortable doing that. I know that we have stores that do sell things in bulk, but this was a little bit more open. And that is the entire size of that store, by the way. It's just big enough for a person on each side, some things in the back, and then the bulk spices and goods in the middle. And now we're going to turn our attention to the temple southern wall. The southern wall is made up of a porch. It also has 15 steps that ascend to it, to the gate into the temple. These steps are called the 15 steps of ascension, and that's taken from Psalms 120 through 134. And those Psalms are read by the priest as you would step up the steps of ascension. Now, this is all from the Talmud, not from the Old Law. Also, Paul stood on these steps I'm getting ready to show you when he addressed the crowd in Acts 21. It's also believed, well, it has to be, that Jesus did some of his teaching on these steps, and Peter's sermon in Acts 2 was also probably done on this porch and steps. This is an aerial view I did not take, obviously, of the Temple Mount that we looked at a while ago. Okay, here is the southern wall, all this way. Here are the steps that you're getting ready to see pictures of with people standing on them. Here is another set of steps. This has been destroyed. This porch goes all the way, did go all the way, and had steps down here that was all destroyed when Jerusalem was destroyed in AD 70. The rest of the temple, this was the original Temple Mount, I think, from what I understand. The western wall we'll talk about later is up here, the top edge of the screen. If you see the highway down below, that's shows you the magnitude, the size of the temple area. Okay, here is the shot of the southern wall and the temple steps, wherever they are, on the left here. And you can see the large stones in the foreground. On the wall, As you look down the wall, as you look down to where those steps were that were destroyed, here are the triple gates. They were open, but they're now blocked off. This was a large entrance into the temple area. It would obviously make sense. This is where most of the people entered the temple area, was up these steps and through these triple gates, and on the far left there's also a double gate. And it's believed that the double gate on the other end is actually the beautiful gate. This gives you an idea of what these steps look like in size, and people standing on them, and of course the wall behind. Notice, that is our group. Notice this step is twice as wide as the next one. And then the next one is twice as wide as the previous. And the next one is twice as wide as that one. That is the way it is for all 15 steps. And as I understand it, you would go up the steps of ascension, and when you were on the large step platform, that is when the priest would read the next psalm. That, of course, is from the Jewish traditions recorded in the Talmud. Here again, this is not to show us, but to show the steps. The top ones have been refinished, restructured, so they're easy to walk and nice and smooth. And as you come closer to the bottom, they are more authentic for the age and difficult to walk on. But in Jesus' time, of course, these would have been finished with no issue. These people weren't on our trip. Y'all may recognize this lady. But the wall and the porch originally was 922 feet long. That is a long porch. And it's possible the lame man laid here because they had to carry him in, or when he was healed, then he went in the temple jumping and running around. The original gates are sealed off, and this is the Mount of Olives in the background. And you can see that. Whoops, I'm not ready to go there yet. I wanted to show you there they are. Over here on the right here, there's the three arches for the triple gates, okay? And right here, behind this palm tree, is the double gate, which they think was the beautiful gate. Now let's turn our attention to the western wall, a remnant of the temple as it's marketed. Here is the western wall. During morning prayer, we walked by going somewhere else. We were on the corridor above, and this area on the right, this is considered the western wall, and this would be men at morning prayer. And we'll look at some of those guys specifically in a second. On this side of that fence is the women's area for their morning prayer. Okay? And then through this gate right here, the western wall would continue through that wall, through that partition, into the building, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Close-up of the western wall and the men that are praying there. We were told to be quiet, to be respectful, and we were in everything. Head coverings are provided, like that paper yarmulke right there is provided for visitors. The chairs are there for you can study, you can meditate, but this is what the western wall looks like today. And while we're here, I want you to note the different kinds of rock that the wall is constructed of. See this rock here with the nice chiseled edge and how it is done very well? That is supreme masonry. And then this rock is not, and these are not honed very, very well and very accurately, and it's an intermix. Well, when Herod built his temple, he trained 1,000 priests, according to Josephus, to be masons because they were the only ones that could go in the temple area. And so they became masons, and they did all the mason work inside the temple. Herod's rocks are these beautiful ones that are cut in fine definition, showing superior craftsmanship. But of course, in AD 70, they were all destroyed. They were all turned down on the ground. And when they reconstructed that, then they reconstructed it with the stones, but they were not nearly as particular in their reconstruction and using what they wanted to use as Herod was in building it to begin with. That is, again, the western wall in the background. Okay? The men, there is here this lavatory in front of the western wall. It has spigots on it where you turn the water on, but what you can't see, there are also brass cups in the lavatory, okay? And to do a ceremonial washing for a Jew, you don't turn the spigot on and wash your hands. You fill up the copper cup, and that's your ceremonial wash, and then you would pour that over your hands. I showed this to show the different kinds of dress. These are all, to a degree, Orthodox Jews, but we have men dressed in the overcoat, heavy apparel. We have, this gentleman doesn't have near the hair or fringes or anything that some do. Okay, here's a man that is dressed as in the black. This gentleman not so much, but I believe that's a visitor's yarmulke. Okay, now I'm going to show you this boy in the green. We're going to look at him again. Jesus condemns the Jewish leaders. He says, but all of their works they do to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments and love the chief places at the feast. Well, remember that. And in Numbers 15, he talks to them and he says, make fringes in your borders of your garments throughout your generations, that they may put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue. And it will be a fringe that you may look upon it and remember all the commandments of the Lord and do them. And in Deuteronomy, you shall make fringes upon the four quarters of your vesture. Well, in case you wonder what those are, here is what they are. These strings hanging on his shirt, that's considered a fringe. This is a phylactery. It's a leather box strapped to his arm. And he also has a phylactery on his forehead that is strapped around his head. He also has pilots, which is his sideburn hair that he has grown down, and he has wrapped it around his ear. He has a colorful yarmulke, and I do not know the significance of why it is colored. Probably just because he's a young guy. Here's another one. He is, as today, people have their own beliefs and their own things they adhere to. He obviously doesn't adhere to as much as this one does, but he has fringes. This fellow has phylacteries he's wearing, and he has pilates that have grown down, and he also has fringes. So we look at him again, and you get a little better shot of him. Colored yarmulke, phylactery on his forearm and on his forehead, and pilots from his temple and tassels on his shirt. The western wall, and you turn left, and you have this wall. If you noticed it in the earlier picture. I do not know what this is other than books of the law and the Talmud, and they are there to be read and studied and discussed and talked to rabbis. And you can see different forms of dress there. The whole time we were there, I will tell you, this guy on the left over here, he did not move. He stood just like that the entire time. He has phylacteries on his, wears those. He has the shawl, and he has fringe. There is a gentleman at the close-up on the wall, and he looks like he's reading prayers. And again, those at the wall. I think the variety of dress fascinates me. Again, you remember that gate I said, remember, when the western wall goes into the building? We were in that corridor, and they have arches, sections of the interior of the wall cut away so that the remnant of the western wall can be shown. And that corridor that we were walking down was only about 10 or 12 feet wide, and came up on here, and I didn't know it till we were right on top of them, but these two women are standing there at the wall, and they're praying there instead of out in the woman's court. Also on the wall, people go to the wall and they have pieces of paper provided there, and you can write a prayer and put it in the crack of the wall. There is a wall rabbi in charge of the western wall. Twice a year, the wall rabbi and his team remove all of the paper that's been stuck in the wall, and they bury them on the Mount of Olives. Well, what lessons do we learn from this other than that Sandy and I had a good vacation? I think, first of all, anytime you can look at photographs and relate it to New Testament documents and verify to yourself in your mind there is a historical Jerusalem. It's there. It was there when Jesus was there. It reinforces our faith and makes us stronger Christians. So I think that's significant. Even in spite of the fact it's been destroyed and rebuilt, Jesus did walk that area. He did walk those streets of a type. He did go in the temple. He was there. And now you've seen where he was there, and in a way you've been there. We also can learn that we're told, do not pray to be seen of men, Matthew 6:5. And we need to understand the scriptures. Jesus condemned the leaders for making their phylacteries big, their fringes long, to be seen of men. Let's learn that lesson. You know, we don't do things to be seen of men. That's not who we're supposed to be. In fact, we do our benevolent deeds in the blind, if you will. There's so much work that this congregation does in the community and helping people that need help, and most of us don't even know what's going on, and that's the way it's supposed to be. God looks to a man's heart, not his dress or the rituals he goes through. And lastly, I think that we should be as serious about our study and our prayer life as these Orthodox Jews were. They were in error, and in Jesus' time, they were difficult to convince, but they certainly were devoted to what they believed, and they did it the best they could. So anytime we have a meeting, a group, we want to extend an invitation. If you have any need that the congregation can help you with, that the elders can help you with, we'd like for you to come now as we stand and sing.